Okay, this is Joe Kuhn of Lean Driven Reliability, bridging the gap between best practices that you know how to do, but just can't figure out how to do in your culture. Today, we got a special treat via Zoom. I know this video probably looks different to you. Via Zoom, I got my first guest, and it is Frank Emery. Frank is a product manager for the AI team at Fiix. Before joining Fiix, Frank spent nearly 10 years helping companies build new products by leveraging his background in applied mathematics and big data. Big data. All right. As a senior product manager for applied AI at Fiix, Frank is focusing on identifying problems that maintenance teams face and that machine learning is uniquely positioned to solve using Fiix offerings. Okay, great to have you here, Frank. Frank, hey, in just a few words, describe what Fiix offers and what makes them unique.
For sure. Yeah, so what Fiix offers is, a subscribable software tool to help maintenance teams automate a lot of what they're doing, a lot of what used to be pen and paper, and kind of taking that traditional maintenance work that I'm familiar from many, many years ago on pen and paper and putting it into a digital tool so you can get, all those fun benefits of technology out of it.
Okay. How long has Fiix been in existence?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. I'm gonna
Round
say
numbers.
5 to 10 years.
Yeah, okay, 5 to 10 years.
Guess.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, I should know the answer to that. I'm gonna say 5 to 10 years is gonna be my guess
Okay.
on that one.
Okay. Briefly, what is AI? What is the novice out there?
Yeah, great question. This comes up a lot. So AI is kind of a marketing term for what is really machine learning. And what it is it's basically building these mathematical models to help people solve really nasty computer problems. And sort of a really easy way to think about it is statistics, but like really, really good statistics. So we use algorithms that train themselves and improve their statistical models based on everything they've seen in the past. So it just gets better and better with more data and more usage over time.
So you have a piece of equipment out there and there's all kinds of data generated from that piece of equipment. You know, it
Oh
could
yeah.
be speeds, can be amperage, could be vibration, could be temperature, could be quality, could be maintenance records. You've got
Yep.
all that information and it's in different buckets, usually at the manufacturing plant. So what you're
Yeah.
trying to do is instead of that pen and paper and you're trying to look for patterns and trends that maybe one or two people can't mentally do with that data. Would that be fair?
That's exactly right. One of the tools we recently built, it takes what would usually, require 10 or 20 hours worth of human effort, and it cranks out the data in about 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
that's what AI is really good at, is those like really nasty scale problems where people don't like doing that math work. It takes a lot of time, and AI kind of does all that heavy lifting and just gives them the answer so they can get back to
Yeah.
what they were doing.
Yeah. Too many moving parts. And with
Yeah,
this society of information overload, sometimes you just need the answer shown to you, right?
that's exactly it. Yeah, you just want that easy button on the screen.
Okay, what are some common myths that you really, when you start working with a company, some myths that you have to like, well, that's not what AI is, or and that it does this. What do you face when you go to a company?
I would say the first and biggest myth that we usually come across is that AI means you have to rebuild your processes, retake your data, and take on these big bodies of work to change what you're doing in order to get benefits. Um, I think that's what AI was 15 years ago. But now, with all of the progress that academics have made, AI is no longer that. It's, as easy as clicking a button to set something up, and then the AIs just train themselves. And so these customers we talk to, they think it's going to be this really big, heavy lift that only massive companies can take advantage of. But really, nowadays, that's not the case at all.
Well, Frank, you're exactly right. When somebody, I'm been in industry 3 years, and when somebody comes in and said, "Here's a new software package," I think of a year and 30 people.
Yep, exactly.
And then about 3 years of pain trying to figure
Exactly.
it out. And those are just old tapes.
Yeah, no, it's you're absolutely right. That's the most common thing I hear is people expect it to be that. But nowadays, with good design, it doesn't have to be. it doesn't have to be at all. And I think people are really starting to realize that, certainly more of the customers we talk to.
Well, along with AI is, there's a myth out there that I know of that, hey, boy, only the big companies, only the people with deep pockets can afford AI. Hey, I'm a small company, 100 million in sales. I only have, 10 pieces of equipment out here. Give an example of how you would use AI at a smaller operation.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll start by saying, that big company myth comes from the idea that you need tons and tons of data for AI to work. And so you need a giant company with tons of assets to get value out of it. And that's not the case anymore. And so a great example is like maintenance data. So maintenance logs or maintenance reports. Not tons of data, but every company generates it. And there's lots of algorithms out there now that can go in there and parse that data like instantly for you. And so that's an example of being able to do AI at a smaller scale. The other one that I really love is on the asset front. So there's a lot of research and math coming out now about how you can use different sorts of sensors to figure out where your assets are on the PF curve.
Yeah.
So you can time your scheduled maintenance a lot more effectively and a lot more precisely. And the data needs for that are like shockingly low. I think, as I said, 10, 15 years ago, you might think you needed a 30-person team to get that going, whereas now it's a lot easier than it ever was.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah. So most of the plants that you're going into, the data's already there. It's just you're trying to link it together and put some intelligence and learning into spitting out an answer instead of saying the answer is somewhere in this pile of hay. Good luck.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, what is needed before a successful AI deployment? What is needed? What are some of the foundational things that you've seen that needs to be in place?
I'll say there's kind of an easy answer. There's a lazy answer and there's a right answer to that. And I'll say the lazy answer is you need data in place. So you need a team that sort of has the requisite information and software. That's kind of the lazy answer. I think that the more interesting answer is you need to have a good idea of what your outcomes are going to be. So when you look at adopting these tools, if you're just there to buy a flashy piece of software, it's not going to work. So you need to know for your team, what are you looking to get out of this? And how are you going to be able to use these tools? Because realistically, you probably have all of the data that you need. You probably have the software that you need, but what you might lack is that clear objective and what you want to get out of any AI program that you implement.
Yeah. So what problem are you trying to solve?
Exactly.
Hey, give me this, let me implement it, and we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
That's lowers your probability of success. So when you go into a company, and say they've got a lot of CMMS data, and production data, do you ever go in and say, based on your business case, you're trying to drive the uptime of a piece of equipment and drive better decision making, we need to add some sensors? I mean, is that common?
Yeah, actually, that is for sure. I'd say there's two great examples of that. So one is on the sensor front. Predictive maintenance is a hot topic these days. And so a lot of times we'll say that, we can work with you on that, but you need a couple more sensors. I would say it's coming up less and less as people buy newer assets. A lot of that stuff comes built in now.
Right.
So that's kind of on one end. And then the other end, sort of not related to sensors, is around inventory management. So we have some AIs that work with inventory, and we'll say, hey, you need to add some stuff here, get your inventory practices up to snuff so that we can start to build some AIs as well. And we actually love those conversations because it means we can go in and kind of help people figure out how to mature up their teams.
Yeah. Is there a specific example? I mean, I know you can't talk about companies, but generically, can you talk about an example, something that you or your team really feels good about? We went to company X and we were there, and we added a couple sensors, we added AI, and 6 months later, boy, they're just delighted, and here were a couple their directional results. So kind of give an example without but protect the company.
Yeah, no, there's some great ones actually. We just it was mid-October we put out a new product, and for that one, in beta testing, we actually rolled it out to one of our bigger customers, and we said, we can see the volume of work you're doing. We can see here are some of the problems in your maintenance processes. Try out this new tool, and 6 weeks later, we actually saw a 30% drop in their average labor time spent. And so what they had done was they had used this tool to figure out where there were gaps in their processes and kind of like where they were losing their lunch in the work they were doing.
Yeah.
And what was happening is in the past, they were kind of looking at the really big maintenance activities, but not the maintenance activities that were wasting tons and tons of time. And so we
Yeah.
really helped them focus in on, you know, where can you invest to get these huge returns instead of just investing in reading reports.
Yeah, outstanding example. I mean, that dovetails a lot of what I try to preach in my business is, you know, you got to go out and see the waste. The waste is there just below the water line, but you got to see it. And what I'm finding is people are so overwhelmed in their current jobs. They're doing more with less. They got so many things on their cell phone. Email takes up 2 to 3 hours of people's time.
Oh, yeah.
Another 3-4 hours where the meeting's on top of that. And then you've got the issue of the day. You know, you always want to do those strategic things tomorrow. And
exactly.
You know, being able to see the problem, I've gone into dozens of companies and just within an hour, you see some waste that shocks management. And you're able to maybe put some electronics to make that happen. Say, look what's going on in your plant that with you just, it's not that they're bad people or bad leaders. It's that you can't see it through all the chaos.
That's exactly it. And so we kind of put it down to 2 problems. And the first is obviously it's a lot of data. Like it's crazy. Like no one wants to read Excel for that long. And the other part of it is it's difficult to kind of find those trends. And I was talking to a gentleman who works in maintenance as well. And he was saying he always had kind of a gut feeling about where the problems were, but he was like, I can't prove it. I know that's the problem, but I can't prove it. And until I prove it, no one's going to fix it. And then we ran this report and he was like, I knew it. I knew that's where it was. And he kind of took it and he went to the team and he said, here's, we need to fix it. Here's the evidence.
Right. Yeah, exactly. A great example. Cause I've been a plant manager, as you know, and so many people bring gut feelings and ideas to you that you're trying to sift through them. And you get 10 a day and you can sponsor 1.
Exactly.
You can afford to put resources on 1, maybe 2, not 10. And the people that bring data, you hear them twice.
Exactly.
So bringing data to bear and say, here's where we need to focus our, because I'm telling you, so much capital, I see so much capital wasted on ideas and gut feelings. And it's not that the people are bad, they just don't understand all the data. Really outstanding. So, so if a company has the basics in place, they got a CMMS system, they got some sensors out there and they call you up and say, man, we got a good planning and scheduling system. We think we're doing things all right, but we have no machine learning, artificial intelligence. What's their first step? Well, after they called you on the phone, what's the first step for them?
Well, for us, actually, the first step is we just turn it on and the next day they get the results. We're kind of unique in that sense, but really the first step for them is understanding, if we give you the results of our machine learning, how are you going to use that? Because we can get you those results fairly quickly, but it's what are you going to do with that? And more importantly, how are you going to build it into your processes? I think one of the biggest challenges I see with companies that are ready to adopt all of this is you send them data and then they don't know how to work it into their processes. They don't know how to say, how do I bring this to the shop floor? Okay. And so I always tell them, here's the tool, but we also need to figure out how you're going to get this to the people on the ground who can use it.
Okay. So is the business model, I'm going off script here.
No worries.
Business model for Fiix, you guys sell a product or do you sell like a monthly service?
It's that's kind of a tough question to answer. So it's a product, but it's SaaS, so it's sort of a monthly subscribed product. So it's software, but it's sort of a recurring charge basis.
Okay, and that reoccurring charge, does that give them access to people like you that can say, hey, I got this question, or I need this tweak to this, how this formula is calculated, or we got a new piece of data for you. That's all wrapped up in the monthly.
Yeah. So I know what we do with our ML products is we see them as sort of a core part of our CMMS offering. So we say, if you have the CMMS, you have the ML stuff too, because it's just it all supercharges itself. So it's beneficial for us to put it in there, and then we get better results, which means we can build better products.
Yeah, very common problem. There's enormous amount of effort at plants to put everything into the CMMS system. And most 9 out of 10 places, the only thing they're taking out is the, hey, we need to do this every week or this PM every week, every month, every year.
Yeah.
It's a project, list rather than stand back and look at the data because it's so overwhelming. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. So, the contact information for Fiix, I'm going to put that below and then the text and to tell you viewers exactly how you can contact people like Frank. If they called Fiix, are they going to get a hold of you, Frank, or are they going to go through somebody else?
It might end up at me eventually. Yeah, I'm sure to like hit someone and then they'll say they want to talk about AI and it'll work its way down to me sooner or later.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything we haven't talked about that you really feel excited about?
For me, it's really just letting people know that this stuff it's not science fiction anymore. It's there, it's going to help you do your job a lot better. And so, I'm always just excited to talk about how far technology has come and how attainable it is for teams now.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my dad, he worked in maintenance his entire life. And I remember going to job sites with him and like getting his timesheets covered in oil as we filled them out. And going from that to this and saying, well, now, the stuff from Star Trek is reality and it's helping you do your job that much better. Like that really excites me. And that's why I love talking to people about what's possible now.
Yeah. Everyone, I'm telling you, at plants, I talk with them every day and have been a part of that maintenance system for, decades. You're just overwhelmed with data and
Yeah.
you end up, quite often paralyzed with it. And
Yep.
then you go with your gut. And, just to be able to, several times a day, automatically get an alarm or automatically get an analysis
Yep.
and say, here's what's happening on this asset, just priceless. There's so many tools out there to help you make better decisions.
Exactly.
And using AI, I don't think you're going to be in business in 10 years. I mean,
No.
that's because your competition is, and they're going to be able to lower their price and improve their quality, improve their delivery time because they're using technology to make better decisions.
Exactly.
You have to have a lot of basics in place. For example, one of the things I talk about on my show regularly, if you're not doing precision maintenance, you're putting garbage into the CMS system. If you're not doing lubrication right, the computer thinks you are. So there's so many things to do, but AI makes it so much faster to make better decisions. So, hey, thank you, Frank, for joining the show here. Exciting to meet you. For the viewers, it's the first time I'm meeting Frank. We've emailed a couple times using technology here again to get a message out there on AI. So, hey, folks, in closing, begin your journey on reliability. This stuff really isn't that hard. We've got the technology, we got the processes on how to do things. There's experts out there like Frank that know how to make your life a little bit easier and help you make better decisions. Contact these folks at Fiix. If I can help you in any way, send me a comment. I'd love to talk with you live on how to accelerate your journey and get you better results. Thank you.
Thank you.